Welcome to BLUTalks.
Imagine this. You're sitting at the poker table and the river card gets flipped over. You have a royal flush. What do? You go all in, of course, because you cannot lose. The same goes for betting on yourself. You are the best investment that you'll ever make because despite the chips that fall, the challenges you face, your relationship with yourself is a constant, a sure win. Now, I know, some of you are thinking, gee, that must be nice to have that kind of confidence. And you're thinking to yourself, I don't know if I'll ever have that kind of confidence to know that I'm a sure win. My loves, I'm here to help you step into the possibilities of knowing that you are a sure win. My goal here today is to leave you deepening, activating your next level of self-belief. What does it look like and mean to bet on yourself? It means tuning in to your heart, to your gut, to that inner voice, that empowering voice that wants to come out a little, no, scratch that, a lot louder, and to silence the voice of self-doubt in your head that asks, what if I fail? Am I enough? What if I lose? In order to step into your self-belief, the first thing to do is to connect with your why, your soul's purpose. You were not put here on this planet to live a mediocre life. You were put on this planet to live on purpose and to do something with it. Risk is safe when you wager on your why. Even if you lose all your chips, your setback is your setup. Let me illustrate this with a story. So picture this. It's the year 2008. I'm standing here on a bodybuilding competition stage, flexing, tanned, oiled up. And on the outside of my life, it looked just as perfect as my fitness model physique. I just started private practice as a psychologist. I'm a second-degree black belt in karate, teacher, and role model to kids, teens, and adults. And I'm happily married to my husband of 3 years. But deep inside, I was dying. I was crumbling. I was struggling severely with binge eating, beating myself up, and never feeling enough. And to boot, I came in last place. I felt like such a loser. And I could have folded after that loss. But I stayed in the game and bet again. This was my setback to my setup. Okay. Truth be told, I had no freaking clue at this point that my setback was my setup. I had a breakdown. This led me to do some inner work. And I learned that I was operating from this belief, this losing belief, that I am valued in my doingness rather than my beingness. And my doingness was never enough. So I turned this belief around within myself. And today, my sole purpose is to help others come home to themselves, to feel safe in their very being. And the ripple effects that get created when an empowered world inside reflects a powerful and magnetic outer world. In order to keep going, you need to wager on your why. It takes bold, courageous action. Fast forward, 2015. I'm now a psychologist that specializes in eating psychology, where I'm helping women from my setback with food and body image issues, my own setback of the food and body image issues, to the setup. Facilitating successful body image groups where women are taking on the greatest revolution, loving themselves. I was so passionate about this because I too knew something about having eating issues, body image issues, and not quite meeting a clinical disorder diagnosis, and yet silently suffering in shame. So I wanted to give greater voice to disordered eating by taking what I was teaching my clients in my body image groups and turning it into an online program. My professional regulated college, I remember I was standing in Costco when they called me back, said, "Don't do it. It's your reputation." I didn't care about my reputation. I cared more deeply to help women release one of the top greatest mental health killers, self-hate, body hate. So I bet on myself. I figured it out legally and ethically, and I became the first psychologist in my province to create and sell an online program. And what happened was, this opened up more doors aligned with my sole purpose. I got my first international speaking gig with a women's fitness community, and they put me on their global magazine cover with a 4-page article that I wrote on how to flex your self-love muscle. How's that for betting on yourself? How many of us are sitting on the sidelines of our dreams? Action does not require checking or folding. Checking is when you don't bet. You are waiting for others to make their move, and then maybe you might wager. Or you're waiting for things to be in perfect place, and then you might wager. Listen to how this plays out. Does this sound familiar? I'll be happy when, fill in the blank. When I have the body, the health, when I have the relationship, when I have the money, when I have the time, then I'll be happy, worthy, fill in the blank. And folding is you are just letting fear drive the bus. You're not even in the game. How many of us are playing our lives out right now this way? There were massive forks in the road for me. I could have stayed on the safe road where it was conventional, it was predictable. I knew that I would be successful. I was in a box. And yet my soul kept calling me to go down this road, the road less traveled. So I buckled down and wagered on my why. I did the foolish thing. I did the unexpected. I kept going. It takes guts and grit to be a gambler. It doesn't take courage to check or fold. The next part in my story of how I bet on myself was that I wanted to create this impact in a bigger way. So I hired my first coach to start my self-love coaching business. And this, by the way, is a no-no if you're a licensed psychologist in Canada. It was a high roller bet. $30,000. Ooh, you can bet that I felt the fear. I felt it for 3 weeks before I decided to get out of my own way and sign that contract with my coach. And you know what happens when you say yes to yourself, when you say yes to your dreams? Something inside comes alive and this energy radiates out into the world and it's contagious. Before I knew it, women entrepreneurs started hiring me to help them get out of their own way, boldly and unapologetically show up and go all in their soul purpose too. How many of us stay in the confines of our comfort zone? Heck, we don't even like half the stuff that happens in our comfort zone. Listen to this. How many of us are in relationships that long ago expired? Like 2 to 20 years ago. How many of us are in soul-sucking golden handcuff jobs? How many of us are in pain physically, or we want to improve our health, and we know what to do, and yet we're not taking action to help ourselves feel better? This is tolerating. You're tolerating because deep down inside, you don't believe you're worthy of more. This is playing not to lose versus playing to win. Can you hear the difference? Checking and folding is playing not to lose. You're staying in your comfort zone. Betting on yourself is stretching outside of your comfort zone and playing to win. When I decided to stop playing in safe money mindset, which means I'm on the road that's safe, I'm in my comfort zone, I know I have predictable financial success, and I stretched myself outside my comfort zone in soul money mindset, this is where I'm embodied in my why. This is where I'm expanding in my soul purpose, and I'm in the magic place. We're all worthy of this magic, my loves. My parents, they thought that I was totally losing my mind when I decided to resign my license because I knew it was holding me back. My sole purpose was to help others get in the game and stay in the game. What keeps us from getting in the game and staying in the game? Perfectionism, inner critic, self-doubt, not enough, not feeling enough, imposter syndrome. We have all these credentials, all these courses, and yet we feel like a fraud. And the false perception of not having enough time, money, or energy, and the list goes on. My loves, these are just beliefs. We can change our beliefs. That is the power we have. We are not victim to our circumstances. We can break our own limits that we create in our minds. Now, the next thing I did, my parents really thought I was brainwashed big time when I did the next unthinkable thing. Now, keep in mind, I'm Daddy's little girl. He's my personal and professional accountant. And at this time, I was doing some money mindset energy work. And I needed to pull on my big girl pants and figure out what was my money energy stuff and untangle it from what was my dad's. So I made another high roller bet. I fired my dad. And oh, the worst that I thought would happen, happened. He stopped talking to me, something that he's never ever done in my life. Another setback to a setup. I could not let this hold me back. I kept going, continued in my sole purpose, and I trusted that my dad would come around when he stopped sitting in his own stuff. Fast forward, I became a best-selling author. I made 6 figures in my first year. And most importantly, I lived out my sole purpose, helping my clients embody an empowered inner world that fueled a powerful and magnetic outer world. But Rosalyn, you might be thinking, what if you get dealt a crappy hand? Because, let's face it, sometimes that happens. Listen, my loves. You must bluff your way all the way to the final and intimidate life so much that other things collapse by your confidence, even if they have the better hand. And I don't mean fake it till you make it, because frankly, I cannot stand that statement. It implies being inauthentic. I mean, be it until you become the next level version of yourself. Confidence only comes from taking courageous action. Think about it this way. You're in your comfort zone. You stretch out of it. It's really scary. It's so scary. But you keep going. You keep going. Every single day, you keep going. And then eventually, it's not so scary. It's not so scary. And it's in your new normal. It's your new energetic foundation. You're in your magic. You're in your magic. And finally, another very important component of betting on yourself is to surround yourself with like-minded community. You are the reflection of the 5 people you hang out with the most. Are these people supporting you and your dreams? Are they going where you want to go? Or are they where you want to be? If not, these are likely naysayers. Fold those dream killers. You don't need anyone to dim your light. Courage. Courage starts from connecting with your why. The road to get to where I am and who I am today clearly was not easy. Lost some battles. But the most important thing is when you're in checking and folding, you're staying in comfort zone, comfort mode. You'll never win. When you bet, you might lose. You might lose. And you will learn. there's something called mindsight. So it's like hindsight. You look at things with 20/20 vision, and you take the lessons from the past and you apply them as you move forward in your life. This is the power of learning. My loves, like I said, it wasn't easy to get here. It takes grit to bet on yourself. But I'm happy to say that my parents are two of my biggest supporters today. And yes, I did hire my dad back as my accountant. So in closing, I want you to tune into your heart right now. I want you to listen to these words and feel the vibration of these words. You bet, you play. You lose, you play. You learn, you play. You risk, you play. You fight, you play. You fear, you still play. Either way, you win or you learn. Each and every day, get in the game, stay in the game, and play. Go all in, bet on yourself, and let the chips fall. Thank you so much. I'm Rosalyn Fong, Akashic Visionary Life and Business Soul Coach. I'm also a facilitator of Flourishing Life and Leadership Coaching certifications. You can find me on Instagram at Bold Sexy Warrior, and my website, Rosalyn Fong, and my podcast and TV show, Activate Your Soulgasmic Business. Thank you so much.